Nancy Grace interviews Officer Tatum about the Nolan Wells case. Welcome back to On Go. This is Nancy Grace interviewing Officer Tatum about this Nolan Wells case, and he's talking about how it wasn't no service on Horns Island. We're going to get right into it. Salute to everybody, y'all.
Question to you. You interviewed, as we played at the get-go, several of Nolan's friends. Did they show you photos, videos, snaps of that day on Horn Island?
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for having me on. I spoke to 4 of the boys that are originally accused of being involved in Nolan Wells' death. And they did show me a lot of evidence. I want people to be very clear with this. I spent my career putting people in jail. My career is based on getting justice for people who have been done wrong. I've never been a defense attorney. So me going out and doing this was to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And in talking to these young men, the burden of proof is they're going to have to prove to me. I'm not going to listen to what they say out of their mouth. They're going to have to show me. And in many cases, they showed me videos of Nolan on the island. They showed me videos of the boat when they were getting towed out, which is consistent with, kind of similar to what the phone call was. I mean, they showed me pictures of them with Nolan. They showed me phone records of them calling Nolan's mom and all of the above. So they seemed very consistent. They seemed very genuine. And they also proved to me some of the things that they had told me in the interview that I had with them that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel.
Officer Tatum, are you telling me that they had reception on Horn Island? Because many people are saying, well, the reason that there's nothing on Nolan's phone of that day, like there's no pictures, there's no snaps, there's no text, there's no anything, not because it was deleted, but because he didn't have reception. But you're telling me the other boys did have snaps, photos, videos, and reception?
Yeah, no, Nancy, let me clarify this for you. It wasn't that they uploaded this online. They showed me videos and things that they took from the boat during the outing on 4th of July. I was personally out at Horn Island. I rode out there on a boat, and I didn't have great reception there. And I left my phone in the boat when I got into the water and we were actually going out to do interviews.
Objection. You've been in court long enough to know you're going to get objections. You said you didn't have great reception, but you did have reception, did you not?
No, there was reception there. It just wasn't great, and it wasn't great enough for people, in my opinion, to upload. You can make a phone call potentially, but you wasn't going to upload data to a social media account. Now, could people take the steps to do it if they're dedicated enough? Yes, but it doesn't appear that would have been a frequent thing, given the fact that you probably had 1 or 2 bars out there. And I heard evidence of that. Not only did I see evidence of it when I went out there myself personally with my cell phone, when I listened to the CETO call, you could tell that the call dropped out several times. It seemed like they were having trouble at times hearing each other. So it is consistent. And anybody that travel out there that have gone to the 4th of July celebration, they know that the reception is not very great. So the videos that they showed me in call logs were things that were not associated to social media, that they never posted on social media. It was, pictures and videos that they took on their phone.
Okay. Let me refine my question. I take it from your last answer that the answer is yes, you had reception on Horn Island.
Yes, I did have reception on Horn Island.
We just played that CETO call. It's 2 words, SEATOW, and it's kind of insurance that people have that are boat goers. And if you have a problem, CETO will come and tow you back to the mainland. They said they had a problem. They said they were taking on water. One of your takes is that all the chatter that we're hearing, wake up, Nolan, are you dead, Nolan, wake the F up, Nolan, could be referring to the battery, the bilge on the boat, that it's all unclear. regarding the boat being disabled. Apparently, it was not. Listen.
So first, at 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves the original dock. It arrives at Horn Island at 11:14. So at around 4 o'clock, there is a call to the Coast Guard about the boat. NBC News got a hold of it.
We're sinking. Can y'all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Everybody's on board. So does that mean Nolan is on there? Who was on that boat? At 4:31, the boat leaves Horn Island and it is towed approximately 3 miles, and then the tow ends. So after 3 miles, they go back to the original dock, okay? They arrive at 5:44 p.m. So it looks like this is where Horn Island is, and this is where the original dock is that I am referring to. I looked it up, and El Camino Real Road is in Gulf Hills, Mississippi, which is right above Ocean Springs. So I'm wondering if this is the house where they got the phone. Now, the boat travels to Fort Bayou. At 6:06, the boat returns to the original dock. Then, from the original dock, the boat goes back to Fort Bayou, and then they go to the boat launch, and it is put onto the trailer and moved by the vehicle. Did they drop people off at the original dock, travel to Fort Bayou, pick somebody up, and go back to that original dock? And then from there, why was there an hour and 13-minute time gap? This boat was sinking hours before, and then they're just having it docked for an hour and 13 minutes. You would think they'd want to get that boat out of the water ASAP.
That from the Real TikTok Detective. The boat wasn't sinking. They told Cito it was sinking. What's the truth? Was it sinking and they repaired it? Did they have a leak and they repaired it and kept on SOP? Brandon Tatum joining us, former cop, now star of The Officer Tatum. Did the young man explain those travels we just identified?
Yeah, 100%. They did that. I wish that people on the internet would have had an opportunity, and they can go look at the interview that I did with Warren, but they had an opportunity to actually talk to these young men to get this in perspective, because some people have no idea how boats function and how they work. They explained to me, they took me on a boat and showed me exactly where they went, where they docked, where did they, stop at, how did they get the bilge pump and the water out of the boat and all of the above. So they were sinking. They were taking on water. The water came up high enough that the batteries weren't working. They had to get a tow to kind of tow them out, where you could see the young lady saying about 3 miles out. It's a complicated boat's jargon, but they ended up getting the boat out. They ended up getting it to the point where they could run the water out of the boat through a hole in the boat that they ended up plugging. They explained all this. Anybody that does boating know exactly what they're talking about if you hear them explain it on the interview. So they have an explanation for all of these things. And not only that, Nancy, they showed me video of them on the boat, and Nolan was not on the boat. Nolan was not on the boat log. And there are people who saw Nolan on the island closer to around 6 p.m., which is far after they left, far after this phone call was made. I saw text messages from the young lady that Nolan was with, the young lady named Katie. I saw her text messages. In her text messages, she said that she heard the boys yelling for Nolan to get on the boat. He did not. She said in her text message that she did not see Nolan get on the boat he came on, which was Wyatt's boat, which is the boat that was sinking and they ended up leaving on. So it wasn't just a statement that they made on a podcast. They were actually showing me evidence to the contrary of what the mainstream YouTubers and some media outlets are putting out to people at large. And so I wish that people would go watch the interview or at least take some time to listen to these boys' statement. And I'll say this, Nancy, too. I wish that the family would have taken the time, or at least Benjamin Crump would have taken the time to reach out to the lawyers or reach out to these young boys to get their statements, so they're not wasting their time sending everybody on a rabbit trail when they could have just talked to these boys. And they could have, but they refused, because I saw a message from Warren where he called Nolan's mom twice. I've seen messages from Warren's stepmother, Ashley, where she sent Nolan's mom a text saying, please reach out to me whenever you're ready. I would like to talk. Other parents I saw messages from who reached out to Nolan's mom saying, we need to talk. Can we talk? I'm available if you need to talk to us. I do not understand at this point why Benjamin Crump would go out and put misinformation out online when he had the availability to talk to these kids and clear these things up like I did before he presented this to the public. We also reached out to Benjamin Crump 4 times. And on the 5th time, they come back and tell us that the family is not doing interviews. We didn't ask to talk to the family. We asked to talk to the attorney, Benjamin Crump. Why? So we can come together as a community and solve what happened to Nolan Wells, not create and stoke division, which is what I've seen
Mr.
from
Tatum,
Benjamin
that
Crump.
is exactly what we're trying to do. And I hear everything you're saying. And, you know, I think like a prosecutor. My main goal is to find the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. And one thing I cannot get away from is the medical examiner. I'm trying to get to tonight's news, which I'm going to get to. But, oh, you were seeing video from WLOX. Speaking of sinking, is at an alleged issue with the boat bilge. Well, Randy and Bunny on TikTok have their interpretation of that. Watch this.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey,
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
That from Randy and Bunny on TikTok. Joe Scott Morgan, very quickly before I can get into why the family believes they need subpoenas to social media giants to get the truth about what happened to Nolan's phone. Anybody can say anything after the fact. Those boys may be innocent. They can look like choir boys, angels now, but I still don't know what happened on that boat. And I still see conflicts. Can they be reconciled? I hope so. But until they are, we're on it. This is what I can't get away from. Control room, please show Joseph Scott Morgan the autopsy diagram of the victim's occipital bone. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I do not care if an archangel lands on this anchor desk. If he lies to me, I'm using handcuffs for his wrists and a rope for his wings. You hear me? Look at that again. Put it back up. He has deep reddening subcutaneously on the back of his head. Nowhere else. It's not on his neck. The back of his neck anyway. Don't see it on the back. Don't see it anywhere else on the body. So I really don't want to hear a lame explanation that it's lividity of the blood sinking to the back of the body. Number one, the body was on its face. But that said, they kept the neck and the lungs to see if he drowned. Neck. Why would they keep his neck? I can't get away from this, Joe Scott Morgan, and I don't care how angelic the friends appear, and they may be angels. I don't know that yet. You can't get away from this, Morgan.
No, you can't, and we can't get away from it until the investigation is concluded on the part of the state medical examiner's office and the authorities. And in Mississippi, and I can promise you this, as the day is long, they're not going to release this information because it's an ongoing investigation. I know everybody wants it. Now, what we do have is a second view. We've got a second set of eyes on this from a highly accomplished forensic pathologist, I might add, former chief medical examiner for DC. And he went over Nolan's body very, very thoroughly. And he in his statements relative to this area states that he cannot make heads or tails of it at this point in time because it's compromised, this area I'm referring to in the occipital area of the head, because it has been compromised through decomposition. Now, he did a multi-layered dissection. And what that means is layer by layer, the skin, sub-Q fat, down through the muscle, which had not previously been done in this manner, according to him. I don't even know if it's annotated in the state medical examiner's report because it hasn't been released yet. They're still waiting. It's pending multiple things. How many times have we heard this over the years? They're doing their own histological studies, which means the tissue samples. And also the big part to this, Nancy, is going to be the toxicology. And we know that that takes some time. And it's not just going to be about alcohol. It's going to be everything in the spectrum.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. If you are a homeowner, you've probably thought, should I call American Financing to refinance and pay off this debt? But you don't because of your low mortgage. Disclaimer,
Out passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a
why do you say
polygraph
that's
test
from
but
what
one.
you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot to take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lot to take test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lot to take the test. It's not a traditional lot to take test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lot to take the test. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if the people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no.
Well, yeah, I think it could be semantics because they took a test to analyze whether or not they were being truthful in their statements, and that certified test, they passed it. It just wasn't considered a traditional polygraph. I think it's a more advanced way of doing it.
Brandon Tatum. Hold on. In a nutshell, Joe Scott, there is a difference between a polygraph, which measures all sorts of body signals, your sweat, your breathing, your heart, your blood pressure, all sorts of things, and an audio verification test. Big difference.
Yeah. So the audio is, you're looking for stressors in the voice. And these people are highly trained to do this. And you know how the courts feel about these tests. Are they admissible or not? But I think that going to Brandon's point, the fact that they have taken these, at least those named allegedly have taken these according to him, I think that that's significant. Now, whether or not that this is going to be usable, a usable investigative tool is hard to measure.
I didn't ask you if it's going to be used in court. That's a whole nother animal. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Okay. There may never even be a court case. First, I got to find out what happened to Nolan. Okay. So let's not put the cart before the horse. You've got eye detections tests. I don't put any stock in that as to whether somebody's lying. You've got nonverbal communication experts claiming they can tell. You've got brainwave analysis. You've got all sorts of things. I want a poly.
Right.
I'm not saying they did anything or they didn't do anything. Go, strap up, take me a poly. Officer Tatum, star of the Officer Tatum on YouTube. I've been told, but I can't verify, that the boat in question has been searched by scent dogs and cadaver dogs. Is that true?
I'm not familiar if that's true. Let me just clarify. The test that they took was a voice stress analysis test instead of what we call a traditional polygraph test. But I'm not familiar with the cadaver dog searching the boat. I wasn't informed that that was the case. But I was told by the boys that they did not wash the boat off or do any of those things that they were accused of doing, after this incident.
Right.
And I say, based on all the things that I've heard, it appears that they've been very truthful with me. And law enforcement. They've already communicated with law enforcement very early on.
Okay, Officer Tatum, coming from you, I do give that credence because you were a Tucson PD. I've had people sit down, look me right in the face and lie, and they are so convincing. So I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know what happened, and that's why I really resent people suggesting the investigation be shut down. We're not doing that until we know what happened. Officer Tatum interviewed multiple of the young men on that boat. Now, let me address what's happened in the last hours. The family is not buying what they are saying, that nothing was deleted. They're not saying they're lying. They're not saying they're telling the truth. They have hit social media giants with subpoenas once and for all to get everything there is to get about Nolan Wells Digital. Okay, straight out to Dr. Jim Jones joining us out of Virginia. Jones, Dr. Jones, cybersecurity digital forensics expert, digital forensics program director, associate professor, George Mason University. Okay, can't argue with that. Okay, Dr. Jones, what will the evidence reveal? Let's just start on Nolan Wells's cell phone. Let's start with Snapchat.
Sure. So on his cell phone, any images taken for whatever app are going to be stored locally, at least temporarily. So Snap is one of those apps that deletes the picture afterwards. The key here is that when digital files are deleted, the data does not immediately go away. So the data is left intact, at least for fractions of a second, sometimes hours, days, weeks. So what they'll find, assuming that they have access to the unencrypted data on the phone, is they will find bits and pieces of old text messages, videos, pictures taken, and that might reveal something that they can timestamp to the event in question, yet the picture is not still in the active files. That would suggest a deletion.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Let me see, Jones. Dr. Jones, I'm just a trial lawyer. I need you to explain carefully what you just said. Let me ask you some pointed questions. Snap is different, very different. Hold on, doctor. Let me go to Tanya Jordan, Chief Parent Officer at Bark Parental Controls, author of Parenting in a Tech World. Snap is a whole nother can of worms. The other night, example, my son and I, John David, we both love Kung Fu. We're watching the ultimate Ip Man, and I fell asleep. It was 2:00 in the morning. I woke up and I looked at him. He's furiously on his phone. And of course, that raises a red flag. Why is your son on the phone at 2 a.m.? I said, son, what are you doing? And he said, I'm responding to a snap. I'm like, let me see. Who's snapping you at 2:00 in the morning? It's some freaky dude in his underwear on the other side of the world. He went, gross, number one. And he said, they disappear. Okay. Snap. What is it?
Snap is an app that was developed to send disappearing nudes many, many years ago. So it's why children today now flock to that app and parents allow it. Myself included. I regret letting my son have that app. So now fast forward to today, children think that this media disappears because that's the user interface presented to them. But the media does not disappear. Children sitting on either side of them can take a picture with their phone, and that data lives on Snap servers because, as we know, law enforcement has had a heck of a time subpoenaing them and getting access to it.
Okay, that's gibberish. So, does a snap disappear?
A snap appears to disappear to a user. So if I send a snap, and let's say, Nancy, you send me a snap. When I open it up, it disappears from my view. But that media, that photo, that video that you sent me, it is still alive in Snap's ownership.
Okay, so what that means to me as a trial lawyer is I can subpoena it and I can see it.
Yes.
Okay, that made perfect sense. Now I get it. So my son is telling the truth that it disappeared.
Yes.
To him.
To him.
But not to Snap. Okay. All right. What about WhatsApp? That doesn't disappear.
Correct. WhatsApp does not disappear, but WhatsApp is also purported to be encrypted. So Meta moved in a very big disappointment to anybody who cares about child safety to make WhatsApp end-to-end encrypted. So good luck to law enforcement trying to get anything that happened on that app.
To Dr. Jim Jones, digital forensics expert, associate professor, George Mason University, program director, on and on. Dr. Jones, I, like Nolan's mother, find it very unusual that Nolan, for a period of hours, there's nothing. He is a prolific snapper, Insta, you name it. There's nothing there. I got a problem, number one, of him separating himself from the phone. But no teen does that. Nobody does that. But if he's out in the water, he may leave it on the boat so it doesn't get damaged. But I find it hard to believe that he left the boat, leave with it and his keys, and that he wasn't taking pictures and on the boat, on the way out there. Where's all that? That's human behavior, which is not your forte. But Dr. Jones, explain to me what these subpoenas mean. Dr. Jones, from what we're learning in the last 24 hours, Nolan's family demands all IP addresses associated with his accounts, all communications, chats, posts, stories. You can explain later to Tanya what is a story, and all other information. The phone is critical because there's nothing on it for the critical hours. Subpoenas issued in the last hours to Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta, all Meta platforms, and all location tracking platforms, including Life 360. Okay, doctor, what does it mean?
So what they're trying to do is find everything that was pushed up to the servers. And as Tatiana pointed out, some of this content is encrypted as it goes through the servers. So they won't be able to see the content on the server, but they'll have a record that an image or a video or a message came through. So what I would be looking at is I would compare what the providers, the servers show to what's on the phone. And if I find a discrepancy, that would suggest that something has been deleted from the phone. Anybody that had access to the phone could easily delete something on the phone, much harder to delete what's being held on the servers from the phone.
I assume his phone had a password. There are certain things that you need the password to do, such as delete activity. But if you don't have a password and you pick up your phone, if you're touching the screen, that leaves a trace. If you're trying to power it off, that leaves a trace. So we should be able to see people without a password trying to actively interact with that phone, as well as someone that has it. So we would do a forensic acquisition, and that's really important here. Someone just looking in the phone, you can get a glimpse, but you can't see what's deleted and hiding below the surface. We need a forensic acquisition to do that. We can tell if it was just soft deleted, so like sitting in a trash can, or a hard delete. So if you empty your trash on your phone and then you go and throw it into a dumpster and the trash is taken away, there is a log that tracks everything. Also with timestamps on when that activity occurred.
Digital expert Heather Barnhart. Okay, is a subpoena, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jim Jones, is a subpoena the equivalent of an acquisition, a forensics digital acquisition?
Yeah, good question. No, very different. So the subpoena is going to the providers, the companies that provide these services, and it says, hey, what is on your servers? The physical acquisition is going to get a copy of the raw data stored on the phone. And to Heather's point, what you see through the interface is only a small fraction of what's actually stored on the device. It's a very busy place and things are being replaced and removed all the time. The physical acquisition will take a snapshot in time of anything that's left, in particular, the fragments. She also made a very good point about the logs. Phones, modern smartphones, keep very detailed logs. It's not the picture, but it will tell you that someone deleted a picture, and you may even have a timestamp or other metadata that would help you know something about that content, even if you can't see the content anymore.
So, Dr. Jim Jones, if I delete something, let's just pretend it's a text. We delete a text. Then you go to the deleted file and delete it from the deleted file. We can't see it, but there is a record of that, and it is very likely revivable.
Yes, to the record, for sure. There's a record of that action happening. Revivability depends on how long it's been since it was deleted and what else the phone has been doing. So it's a very unpredictable process. Think of it as something that decays over time. Sometimes that decay is very rapid, sometimes it's slow.
And we know there's a difference in retrieval time on an iPhone versus an Android. It's a very delicate process. John Mobley, veteran trial lawyer, South Carolina. What is it Nolan's mother wants from social media giants?
Everything. That's what they want. And I've been saying this from the beginning. These are the types of things they should have been doing from the beginning. Not press conferences, not grandstanding, not the all show no go, but getting the actual data from the phone so they can get real answers to put all the information regarding what happened in context. They will know if anything was posted, if anything was deleted, if it was communicating with someone. This is the real work that needs to be done. This is how we all get answers.
Hi, guys. American homeowners. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud called
He did have service. The absence of those records doesn't say that he didn't have service. However, the cell phone provider through the tower records could show that, because every time a cell phone talks to a tower, a record is created.
Excellent. The ping trail. Okay, back to Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. Did the young men you interviewed, I believe it was 4 of them, state that Nolan did not have reception, or did they explain why there are no pictures, text, instance, nothing on his phone? Did they have an explanation for that?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't mention anything about whether Nolan has service or not, but they articulated the reason why Nolan may not have, certain pictures on his phone. And they had mentioned because Nolan spent the night at their house the night before, because it's traditional for the last few years that they actually went to Horn Island together. But they were saying that they had taken pictures at the house. Some of the pictures that you've seen floating around online were pictures that they took on the boat, but they didn't take those pictures when they got out there to Horn Island, because they were having fun. And I would argue that they were drinking, and I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me, that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that, because they were focused on
But you
being
told
off
me
of the
they
mainland.
showed you pictures and videos.
Yeah,
so
but
they
it's
did
not
take
uploaded.
pictures and videos.
No. It's not a lot of pictures, and they weren't uploaded. So when you're talking about Snapchat, you're talking about a platform where people are uploading images and pictures to produce to the world. What they showed me were things that they had recorded on their phone, and it wasn't a lot of different things, because most of what they did was drinking and having fun in the water. And so, what they had articulated to me as well is that it's not abnormal for people not to snap. It's not abnormal for you not to have your phone. And Nolan wasn't the only person that left his phone on the boat. They also mentioned to me, and you could see it in the interview that they did, was that they had no reason to touch Nolan's phone. They weren't thinking about Nolan's phone when they thought the boat was sinking. And when they got to the house, it was no incident when it comes to Nolan getting the phone back to the friend and parent.
You're going far afield from my question. Let me redirect you back to their phones. Nolan has nothing on his phone. They have pictures and videos on their phones. You told me that they exist, whether they posted them or not. So they were taking pictures and videos. Don't you see why Nolan's mom, is concerned there's nothing on her son's phone?
Well, Nancy, it's unclear exactly what the mother is articulating, because at one point she's concerned that there's not a lot of Snapchats or social media posting. She did not articulate, or the Benjamin Crump did not mention that there's nothing on his phone. So they're not saying that the phone was wiped and there's no images or anything. She was concerned about his social media frequency, which I believe after talking to the boys, it was consistent with what they said, and it was consistent with basic deductive reasoning that maybe he didn't post a lot on that day. So what remains a focus for me, and if I was investigating this
Not
case,
talking about
I
posting.
would want to know.
Not talking about whether he posted, officer.
No,
He didn't
what
even
I'm saying
take
is
anything.
that
There's no pictures. There's no anything.
That's what the mom is saying, but we haven't had an opportunity to either see or hear exactly what she's trying to articulate. Some of the things that she said in the media is that she's talking about posting. I don't believe she said that there was nothing at all on his phone, no pictures, no nothing. But I wasn't able to verify that. So if I was able to see Nolan's phone and the mother was able to show me exactly what she's articulating, I'll be able to have a better perspective in comparison to what Warren and the other boys were telling me. So at this point, I only have one side of it, and then I have a fractured perception from what the media or what the mother is saying in the media. So when the police officers look at his phone and they do a forensic extraction, if they're allowed to do that, they will see plainly if Nolan was on his phone, if he had taken pictures, and if they were deleted. Now, I'll implement this as we begin to try to guess and figure out what was happening on that day. It doesn't seem to be reasonable to suggest that the boys were in his phone deleting things. Now, after hanging out with the boys and getting to know them well, they're very intelligent young men, very savvy, and they were raised well. I would project, if I were to make an assumption, that if they were trying to cover up something that happened to Nolan, I would perceive that they would throw the phone in the water or something where it never would be recovered. Or if they had access to get into the phone, they wouldn't just delete, they would just completely rewrite the phone or, do a hard reset. Or they wouldn't give the phone back to mama or the family anyway. So with those factors put in place and what I've talked to them about, it seems as if their story seems consistent to me, that they did not get in the phone. They did not know his password. They had no reason to believe that there was a necessity to get in the phone.
Officer,
and they gave it over to the family.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I'm not taking anybody's word for anything until I investigate it and corroborate it. Again,
that's fair.
Maybe they're completely innocent. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Or maybe someone else had something to do with Nolan's death. I don't know, but I will find out. And you said, I don't know what she said exactly. Well, here is what Nolan's mother said.
When we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, Ma, come on, take a picture of me. Like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts.
Okay, to Tanya Jordan, BARC, parental control officer and author, do you understand what she just said? I do. Explain it.
Absolutely. When a child dies, every second, every hour, every day matters. Families and investigators need timely access to lawfully requested evidence so they can find answers and hold the right people accountable. And Snapchat claims to respond to most legal requests in 2 to 3 weeks, but critics say some investigations have taken months, which delays justice. Meta, Instagram, right? There aren't many kids on Facebook these days. There's no public average for subpoena response times, but it varies. It varies. And investigators have criticized delays in some really high-profile child safety and teen death cases. WhatsApp, we talked about that earlier. Even with a warrant, Meta generally cannot read or produce message content because it doesn't have it. That's what we were talking about with the challenges with encryption. It's not a response time thing, it's the encryption. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I just felt it was really important to be very clear about what we need for justice and what social media companies are not providing in a timely manner.
You're very clear. I want Tatum to be right. I want this to be easily explainable when we know all the facts. But we will not stop until we know the facts. If you know or think you know anything regarding Nolan's case, please dial 228-769-3063.
This is nasty work, bro. For him to have no pictures at all in his phone, I can understand snaps. Officer Tatum is saying that he went there, had a little to no service, but just because you have little to no service, that still doesn't mean that you can't upload an image. We never heard Officer Tatum say that he tried to upload an image. He never said this. So we have to also think about that. But we must most definitely know pics or no phone, nothing. I think, again, Officer Tatum gave the kids up, the young boys up again, because if they had pictures and videos saved from the night before, they was drinking, chilling, and it was like a thing for them to always spend the night at each other's house and go together to Horn Island, why doesn't Nolan have any of these images in his phone as well? I think that's very questionable. You know, it seems like Officer Tatum is already taking the side of the boys, you know. Plus, some of these boys, you know, I mean, they come from affluent families. You know, who knows if he could have been paid off or whatever the case may be. Allegedly, we don't know. But it seems that he's taking a firm stance on the boys' side. You know what I mean? It most definitely does. And he's, like he said, he's an officer, and he usually goes for arresting people and getting rid of the bad guys. But at the end of the day, Nolan's not here no more. RIP to him, condolence to his family. These are the last people that were with him and in question. And it seems like he's already stepped over the ledge and across the line and have already taken the sides of the alleged suspects. Could be suspects. They're not right now because the police haven't made them suspects. But if there was a suspect, it would be one of them or some of them or maybe all of them, you know. So who knows, man? Could he have been bought off? I don't know. But it just seems like he's taking a firm stance on the side of the young guys. You know what I mean? We also know that Bart has come out to say that he's suing big content creators, be it big or small, and that he's most definitely going to come out, I think, in like a week or so and actually name maybe who is one of the content creators that he will be suing. I've seen a few people going online and saying that he was with Katie. His representative is called Attorney Latino, and he represents the Mississippi Tribune. I think he owns it, if I'm not mistaken. And he went to Facebook to make a post about this whole situation, saying that people are doing it for clicks and for views. And no matter if you put allegedly or you say you heard it from somebody else, they're going to be seeking justice. And this is not about money. We understand that Bart himself comes from some sort of money. His dad's a doctor. He comes from a long legacy of football players and footballers. Him, his brother, I think, as well. His father, his grandfather played for the Gators. And they say that he has also potential to be going to the league. The picture that's circulating around the internet is not Katie. So we can just get that out the way. The picture that is circulating around the internet, the lawyer Latino says, that's the man's last name, Latino. He says that Bart does not know Katie. The only time he ever knew of Katie was the day on Horn Island when she was with Nolan Wells. Katie has been receiving a lot of backlash online. People saying that she knows more than she's letting on. People's asking a bunch of questions and maybe even threatening her as well. A lot of people are getting unalive threats, be it the boys and their family, be it Nolan's family, and even Katie. But Katie has actually a lot of Black people that's actually come to her aid on social media. I did videos on both of these. I did a video just now. I just uploaded a couple of videos. One is about Bart suing, and I went through the whole read. One is about Katie, showing you the images of her with the Black families, all of these Black people at her house. Many people coming up to her back to say, you know what I mean, her and her family are pretty good people. They're not racist. You know, they'll give you the shirt off their back as well. You know, I did another video as well where I went into talking about Officer Tatum was saying that he was heavily drinking. Nolan was drinking heavy. That's what they went on to say. I also brought up an image that showed from the Mississippi Department of Marine Research or Resources. That is this image right here that you're looking at on the screen. And on this image, as you can see, it was from Will Freeman. But when you skip down, it says, as part of our response, this MSDMR request, SAR data related to the missing person, Nolan Wells, the MDMR, will use this data to start a sonar scan on this area. While the information is still limited, we still request the following to be used in data. And as you go down, you see the date, you see the time, you see the location, you see the subject, you see the food intake is unknown. But right under that, you see alcohol intake is heavy. Some people could question that. Who could say that his alcohol intake was heavy? Because remember, his body hasn't even been recovered. There's not no toxicology report. There's nothing to even state this. So obviously one of the boys that were there is a person who stated this. Some people could say that's questionable. You know why? Because that can only benefit them if they were allegedly suspects. Then they saying that he was heavily drinking, he went missing, we don't know what's going on, he was supposed to be with a girl, all these other questions, So at the end of the day, someone went on to say that he was drinking heavy, and obviously it's one of the boys that was with him. And many people could say or guesstimate that that could go into an alibi for them if you see them or deem them as suspects allegedly. Yeah, man, I just think this whole case is just crazy. It's just been topsy-turvy, especially since the CETO audio has surfaced online. We know that the actually CETO audio engineer, the professional audio engineer, her name is Janetta Brentley. Actually, she's been doxxed. All her information has been doxxed, her criminal history. So a couple of mugshots has surfaced online, and she has attacked that fully to say, listen, yes, I had misdemeanors in my past, but that doesn't go to speak to the nature of who I am today. And ever since the beginning and still steadfast, I've just been here to just get justice for Nolan Wells and for his family. And we just all want to know what happened. She also urged people to not go on the offensive, to defend her honor, her name. She said, just let it be. That's only going to further muddy the waters or blur the lines between everything. And that's not what she's looking for. She's just looking for positivity and just going about figuring out what's happened with Nolan Wells. I also did a video on that. I did a live video and I did a few uploads. So if you want to go and check out those uploads, make sure y'all go over there, drop likes, share if you can, but hype the video. That helps us to get an algorithm. Make sure you're subscribing to Uda on Go. Make sure you're hitting the notification bells to all. Yeah, I haven't been posting in a long time, and I think a lot of time that YouTube be banning my channel in other ways. So just make sure everybody hits the notification bells to all. If you've been subscribed to the channel, unsubscribe, subscribe back, hit the notification bells to all, and you'll start to receive all of my uploads all over again. If you do get any updates or you think you find something that you think I should cover, all you got to do is follow me on social media, same channel name, Uda on Go, and just send me a message, shoot me a message, let me know what you want me to cover, even besides this case. But right now we're focused on this case heavily. I cover trials, I cover cases, I cover things outside of the streets, I cover news stories. I am an independent journalist. And yeah, so I do want to bring people to content that they do want to see. Sometimes I go off on a whim and do the things that I just want to do. But as far as this case go, I think it takes a village to raise anything. And I think that we need each other, and we need to most definitely be tapping each other in on updates. When you get something, hit me with it. That can get me better to get on the top of a story that I need to get on, especially involving this Nolan Wells situation. Yeah, man, Tatum seems like he's on the side that he's on. I just got to admit that. And it just seems pretty shaky to me. It just seems very, very shaky to me, Again, condolences to the Nolan Wells Wansley family. And heart goes out to them, and RIP to Nolan Wells. Again, RIP to Nolan Wells. You know what I mean? Hopefully nobody's threatening anybody. Everybody, like I said, again, is getting threat messages. Warren's mom came out to say that her minor children are getting threats as well. I don't think that any child or any children should be abused or threatened or in any way, regardless of the fact these boys were there, Nolan was there. The parents were not there. You know what I'm saying? So the parents, you know what I mean, could somebody could say the parents are to blame, but the parents weren't there. So we do want to stay focused on the situation at hand. We do want to stay focused on everybody that was present on Horn Island. That is the best thing that we can do, as far as Bart, as far as Warren, as far as Tristan, whoever else that was there. Katie, she was there. They saying that she was the last known person with him. So many people have questions for Katie. Katie said that she's been to up front with the police, the authorities, and I think she also contacted the family, and she sent a lot of prayers and said she's going to continue to keep the family in her prayers. So hopefully she has done everything that she can do. I know it sucks for us because we want to know what it is that Katie knows, what is this last moments of Nolan Wells, what was his mind state, what was his physical state like, was he inebriated or not, like Officer Tatum or the MDMR report is saying, this report that you're looking on right now, which they say he was drinking heavily. She said that I think they say that he said he was getting on another friend's boat, another group of students. Does she know anything about that? When she figured out that he wasn't with the group of students, what did she feel then? What did she spend her last moments with him doing? You know what I mean? Were they canoodling? We saw, I think, Warren come out to say that he was cradling her in his arms. Some people were saying and kind of pushing it towards maybe she had a relationship with Bart. Again, Bart, his lawyer, his attorney, has come out to say that they're going to be suing content creators, and said that Bart doesn't even know her, never knew her, and never dated her at all. And the girl that's circulating in the image is far from Katie. It is not Katie at all. It's another girl that he was with in that image. Okay, those are some of the updates that I have right now. I've posted a couple of videos, so y'all go and check out the videos, especially with Katie, the images of her in the house with all of the black people looking like a cookout, homie, looking like a cookout. You know what I'm saying? They had like 3 white faces in a sea of black people. So you're going to check that out. Again, you want to check out the Bart video as well, and the live that I did, which breaks down the Cito audio engineer being doxxed. I also went into Warren's mother speaking out on Facebook. I also went into a few other things as well. So, information keeps coming out by the second. So, we're just going to keep trying to update everybody as much as we can, you know what I mean? So just make sure that y'all are supporting any way you can. If you do have information about this case, if you was anywhere near Horns Island, if you even heard a murmur, contact the family as well, and contact the authorities. Just don't close it off and contact the family and not contact the authorities and give them the information too. And then we say that there's a lackluster investigation. Give the investigators the information that they need to proceed with their case as well. And if they don't, and if there's a stone that's unturned or whatever uncovered, then you can know, okay, look, I gave the information to the family, why they ain't going to that. So we know that you've given your information to both sides to make sure that you can go about seeking justice for Nolan Wells. Again, subscribe to the channel, hit like, hit notified, share this video, share any of these videos that I've been posting. And I haven't been posting as long. I just got on the Nolan Wells case, so I'm not even in the algorithms of this case. So you can help me by getting in the algorithms by hyping videos, going back, hyping the videos, liking videos, commenting. Most definitely comment something. It doesn't matter. Even if you drop an emoji on any of them, go and drop an emoji or drop something on all of the Nolan videos. I don't have that much that so far. I probably got like 5 or 6 or 7. Just drop those things. Lean your support. Again, comment to update me on things that I need to cover. And if not, if you think you want to get close and hit me, all you got to do is message me, shoot me a DM on Instagram, Uda Ongo on Instagram, and update me with something. There, Uda, did you see this yet? Did you hear about this yet? Or somebody did a video. I think you need to do a video on that where I can keep us timed in and timed up on this whole case. I'm going to be looking forward to trying to bring some of these people on the channel. I got a couple of journalists. I got some defense attorneys and people like that I've been speaking to. I'm even speaking to somebody trying to get Nancy Grace to come talk to me, man, straight, man, because I do have a connection with one of her correspondents who works closely with her. I have her phone number as well, so I reached out to her as well. And, you know what I mean, she'll shoot a message or see if she could get Nancy Grace to maybe come and talk to some of the people down on the lower bottoms of the YouTube. You know what I mean? Not just these people that got the millions of subs. So I think that'd be a great thing too, man. So salute to everybody that's covering this Nolan Wells case, everybody that is believing in justice, from the chat to the panels, everybody that's keeping the name going, keeping the word going, keeping the conversation going, not letting this conversation die. I think that all of you and everybody that's doing that is the real MVPs in this situation, because we don't know what the investigators are doing with the investigation. If it comes to find out the investigators really did do what they need to do and really is uncovering some stones over there, then they'll be part of that MVP gang to me. All right, man. So salute to everybody. I'm going to be firing up another live. There's so many things to cover. Yeah, so make sure everybody hits the notification bells. Make sure you put them to all. If you've been subscribed to this channel, you're not getting my notifications. So all you got to do is unsubscribe, subscribe back, and hit the notification bells to all, and you will get all of my notifications. I'm pretty locked in on this case. I usually do a lot of different content. I was backstage at the ESPYs. You can go see those videos. Top of the Rock at the Rockefeller Center. I do so many different things. I'm covering news stories. I do so many things. Like, again, I cover trials, but I'm pretty locked in on this case, and I'm gonna try to keep updating y'all and giving y'all all of the information that you can get as far as Nolan Wells and his whole entire case goes, man. So salute to everybody. I love y'all all. You already know the vibes. Ooda, ooda, ooda. Always on go. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Nicole, Keita G. See more stacks popped in. Shannon Tolton. Salute to y'all, man. Nothing but love to y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
All my niggas from the Ooda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, all my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas from the Ooda. All my niggas turn shooters.